chirp.
So basically, my presentation is called Explore because I think it's really essential in many different ways, and I'll tell you how. A lot of this is really jam-packed with a lot of information about myself and how I got to the conclusions that I want to share with you. So please bear with me if anything is gone over too quickly or anything like that. If you have any questions afterwards, you can ask or find me later or anything like that. Just feel free to ask for more elaboration because I'm going to be zooming kind of. Okay, so yeah. How to deepen your artistry process curiosity. First, before I begin, I actually want to show you a couple things I've been working on just that have been really fun this year. Personally, I've been wanting to art direct for about 4 years, and I got to do it this year finally after almost a decade of this dev and concept. And I think that that might be a path that interests some of you guys, like, you know, going from being a freelancer, being an artist, and then becoming a leader. You know, if you ever want to ask me anything like that, I want to give back. People helped me, so I can help you too. I want to show you a little video.
¿Dónde estoy?
En un lugar de la Mancha, de cuyo nombre no quiero acordarme.
¿Estás seguro de que esto es buena idea?
¿Viajaste hasta el fin del mundo a traer violencia, cachorro humano?
Quizás sea el único que no quiere hacer daño a nadie. ¿Por qué me persigue ese monstruo?
Una vez fue un rey de paz, pero confió demasiado en los humanos.
Mientes, como mienten todos los de tu especie.
Gracias, pero... ¿quién sois?
Soy bosque, soy río, soy tierra. ¿Y vos, criatura, quién sois? ¿Amigo o enemigo? El miedo crea héroes y monstruos, pero solo unos pocos se convierten en mitos.
Os liberaré, mi señor, cueste lo que cueste.
Okay, so that's one thing. Thank you. Thank you so much. That's very kind of you. So that's basically a project that it's just sort of a taster. It's not going to finally look like that, but it's an exploration that I'm doing with my director. And one artist joined me. I was art directing him, and he was a wonderful collaborator, Federico Bresser. And yeah, so it's basically done in Quill, lit in Unreal. And we did some storyboarding, some discussing story points. It's going to be an adventure game. If you want to follow us, it's mitos, mitos.game on Instagram. And it's going to be a long journey. We're not, you know, finished the game, obviously. It's just in development, but it's close to my heart, and I think you'll love it if you love adventure. All right, so now let's go back to the presentation. But first, something else, actually. I just want to mention one more thing. I got to work on a concert in Fortnite, a Metallica concert, which was absolutely insane. I don't know how, you know, the universe brought me this, but this is me playing with other Fortnite users in our concert that we made with Magnopus. And I mean, what's better than that? That's a blessing, honestly. I didn't know that much about the band. I just knew that they were amazing and well-known and globally respected and hard workers and just legends before I joined. And then I gathered so much respect for them as artists and as human beings. They're so dedicated to their craft. Through like being on this project, I did so much research about them, watched every video. So you'll see a pattern throughout my presentation. It's just that like I urge you to be interested in things and people and the subject matter that you're working with. It just makes me emotional. We're really lucky, you know? Anyway, so that was fun. Now I'll go back to the presentation. Bear with me, I know it's a bit clunky with my switching through slides and whatever. It's my new iPad. All right, let's start the real presentation. So, explore. So, the reason I use this image is I made this image as like this little character is kind of holding a little magic life ball, and I think it suits the topic of this presentation. So I want to show you how to take your own life into your own hands. Is it possible to dim the lights a little bit on me, by the way? I'm just asking, but if not, that's fine. Okay. Okay, so I want you to look at how this picture says, I can't do it. Oh, actually, that's fine. Off is better. Sorry. So, and they're cutting off the T, and they're turning it into I can do it, right? So that's kind of what I want to do here with you. I think that the reason I want to talk to you about all this is that me before versus me after maybe a decade of working on myself and on art and everything was I don't have good ideas. Now, I actually thought that sentence, actually. I would sit there in front of my computer and think, I don't have good ideas. And just like I tell all my mentees today, that's a self-limiting belief that it doesn't serve you and it doesn't serve anybody else for you to believe that about yourself. So I think it's all about learning how to understand how false that is, that you don't have good ideas. So I don't try to do hard things. I don't have good ideas. Oh, I have a good idea. I think it's dumb. It's too complex. I'm going to give up. Into, I am a conduit for original ideas. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. I'm a vessel. I'm like a way for good ideas to enter the world. It's a completely different framework. And I'm encouraging you to take notes, by the way, if anything resonates with you, and research or do it later. I'm going to have a lot of like actionable points, as well as a lot of abstract ideas too. So, this is a quote from the Frank and Ollie movie that is really special. I don't know, has anybody seen Frank and Ollie? Or do you guys know about Frank and Ollie? They're Disney animators and just beautiful souls. Rest in peace. Okay, so this is a quote from Frank Thomas from the movie. You'd have trouble defining what a romantic is, but I think it has a lot to do, to me, with living in your dreams, living with your dreams, and dreaming quite a bit about connections between things. Trees, the sky, the grasses, the birds, the animals, and you being part of the whole thing. A realist would have trouble with some of these concepts, but if you get into an imaginary field like animation, you'd better come equipped with that kind of nonsense. Isn't that charming? All right. And so, forgive me if I get a little bit emotional sometimes, but I think this is really true. Let me know if you've ever felt this way, but what embarrasses the ego frees the spirit. So it's like, oftentimes something that you're holding back or something that you're afraid of doing might be just what you need. And so I'll give you a bad example of some of the ideas I'm thinking of. If you're somebody who says, I'm going to avoid pain and stress. I'm going to be reactive instead of proactive. I'm going to always complain. I'm going to say, life is boring. I'm going to be a bad teammate. I'm going to underthink things. I'm going to tell myself, I'm not good at this. And also not listening. And not having a walk that matches your talk. I think all of these are bad, and also even like the guy with the smoke, numbing yourself with substances or ideas. I think Steve Jobs had it right when he said, deciding what not to do is as important as deciding what to do. And that's why I showed you the bad example. So this is the loop, the best loop in life, and the only way you'll get better at art or anything else that matters to you. You try, you fail, you do it again, eventually you succeed. And if you don't try, and if you don't fail, keep that in mind. If you don't fail, you won't succeed. You have to fail. And so, you have to become someone who seeks the right type of failure. The only true failure I see is self-destructive states of mind or behavior. And so, basically we're just going to be looking at tools to change your life, right? To add to your tool belt, your toolkit. By the way, is there any way I can get some water? I'll just keep going. Okay, so if you ever heard of the term growth mindset? Raise hands. Awesome. It's a really good way to look at life. Instead of a fixed mindset where you tell yourself, like I said before, I don't have good ideas. Thank you so much. You say, I could have good ideas. I'll just improve with practice. I'll try. I'll keep trying, and then I'll get better. And you're like watering your mind. If you bear with me a second, I'll just have a sip of water. All right. So this is my life math. So you challenge, plus you self-care, and sustainable future. Remove any of the two prior, you don't get the other. Does that make sense? This is like pretty basic, but really important. Sometimes we only do one. So resilience is the ability to recover from or adjust easily to misfortune or change. If something changes in your life, or if you're the victim of some misfortune, I suggest you take a resilient mindset instead of a victim mindset, because, you know, we identify with our beliefs and our thoughts. I want to just bring up Stoicism. We don't need to talk about each of these elements, but Stoicism is very important, and it's a great source of wisdom for me and for many, many people across hundreds of years. And there's a reason it's so, it stays true and is still talked about, because it's so powerful as an idea. And so it has cardinal virtues, and it teaches you how you should look at life and what is important and what is not important. I'm going to go into some metaphors. So life is like an ocean, many fish, many places you can go. It's really vast, right? You're an explorer, you're scuba diving. It's awesome, it's a little bit scary. There's a shallow end, there's a deep end. You might be scared of the deep end. You might stay in the shallow end. This guy's saying, go, you got it. Just jump off that way. Come on, jump off. And this, I don't know, you might be the adult, you might be the kid in this situation. Tag yourself mentally. And I urge you to do this. Jump like this guy. I know it's terrifying. I don't know if I would physically do that in real life, but do it metaphorically, please. I invite you to. And you know, you gotta jump. It's the act of charting new waters. They look very dangerous, but they're awesome and very adventurous, and you'll find beautiful things. So let's dive in. Here's some chapters. Why? I want to talk about giving yourself permission. Second is who, the idea of standing on the shoulders of giants. I'm going to talk about my journey, and you'll put yourself in my shoes as well, please, while I'm talking about that stuff. So third one will be what and how. The keys to your creativity. I'm going to hand you the keys to your creativity, like a car or a house. Keep it safe. Okay, this is me 10 years ago with a little sticker that says, "You're terrific." All right, so you might be poor, your shoes might be broken, but your mind is a palace. This is a quote from a Frank McCourt book that stuck with me ever since I was in high school. I thought, what a beautiful metaphor. Your mind is a palace. Let's just take a moment to think of how awesome that is. Because sometimes people treat it like trash, but it's a palace. It's a museum. It's beautiful. So the ideas that come out of you and your experiences can be beautiful, can be a palace. This is something from my Appeal presentation. If you have ever seen this graph by Psycher Yasin, you want to raise your hand maybe if you know Psycher Yasin? Very few, but okay. He's a great YouTube guy, teacher, person. He has great ideas on knowledge and learning. And I thought this was a wonderful graph. It's a really great way to tangibly explain the difference between, or like the pain of learning, right? Like you're getting better, so your eye gets better, you get better taste, and your skills get a bit better. But then whenever they're mismatched, there's pain, very visceral pain, sometimes subtle pain, sometimes in tremendous pain. But it's all from the mismatches between the two, right? You get better, and then you're no longer satisfied with what you used to be able to do. And so I also want to bring in the idea that decisions and choices that we make are another element or variable, and it reacts the same way. You can be dissatisfied with your choices. Your choices can influence your taste. Your taste can influence your choices. The whole shebang. All the equations are possible. And they're interesting, right? And as time goes on, you unlock previously unavailable levels. So you had maybe something you could never even conceive of 3 years from now that you don't have the ability to access, but you will if you keep going. That's why it's so important to keep going. And now I want to talk about how that plus other knowledge and skills also affect everything. So it's like sugar, spice, everything nice from Powerpuff Girls. And so imagine all these lines, your trip to France, your relationship with your parents, your emotional confidence level, your choices, your skill, your everything, your physical activity. It's all this sort of thing that's like crazy and beautiful. And then it all comes into your brain as like, you know, this kind of fluctuating system, right? So hopefully some of the things I'm saying are kind of creating these visual metaphors in your mind or like experiential thoughts in a way. And then when you experience all these things and how they fluctuate and how they change over time, your brain is kind of like, you know, you're having like synapses firing as you're learning things and as you're becoming a more developed person. And you're going through all these different peaks and valleys in like knowledge and skill and everything, right? I just think those things are so fascinating. And so your brain waves can be kind of like, just okay. And then I want you to activate them. It's really cheesy, but bear with me. Okay, so when you're learning, when you're growing, when you're living anything at all, feeling things, thinking things, there's all these, you know, neuronal bridges being built in your mind. And the reason I want to talk about that is that I feel like neuroscience and thinking about this and being aware of this can really influence the way you live your life. And not only that, but like the people you let into your life and the activities you do. Just switching hands here. Okay, and I want you to be aware of this because a lot of people live in an autopilot kind of mode, right? Just doing whatever's available, whoever comes, whoever wants to hang out, whatever my mom says, whatever my dad said, all kinds of like just whatever comes your way, right? But you can design your life and you can design your brain. I know that's kind of weird, but I want you to think that that's not weird. It's amazing, actually. It's very, very powerful. You can design the bridges in your neuronal connections in your mind, and that's a great power. And with great power comes great responsibility. All right, I know I'm cheesy. Okay, so, and think of these synapses firing off, right? And become passionate about them, like, oh, what can I feed my brain today? It's really cool. And I saw this GIF the other day by Lulu Tarp. This is how I want you to feel, or like imagine this. This is the viewer. It's like you inside your mind, and you're just watching your mind make all these connections to things. It's beautiful. It's such a miracle. So there's all these like constellations inside your mind. I know it's maybe a bit awkward that I'm like getting emotional, but isn't it amazing that we have this possibility in our brain? Our brains are so cool. Yeah, anyways. So for something more or less abstract, because I was a bit abstract and emotional, right? But that's okay. So this is something more concrete by somebody I respect a lot because he studies these things, and people who study these things and give us facts and studies about these things are, to me, so important because it takes it from being these concepts where we're like, yeah, okay, that's kind of interesting, to like, this is real. You have to take it seriously. And if you don't take it seriously, I think you're missing out. No offense, but you're missing out. So, curiosity significantly ramps up levels of neuronal activity in human brain circuits that release dopamine. Dopamine is important, which in turn allows deeper, more stable learning. Isn't that something we want? Isn't everybody always talking about ADHD? Deeper, more stable learning. Not just of the thing we are curious about, but also the information and events that preceded it. Is this not the key to everything? This makes curiosity one of the most potent dopamine promoting and neuroplasticity and learning tools available. Curiosity is the best drug ever, and it's not synthetic. It's natural. So I want this to be you. I want your life to be this little ball in this little guy's hands. And you're excited. Please be excited about your life. This is another little metaphor that I like a lot. Basically, has anybody ever seen this? Can you raise your hand if you've seen this? Okay, have you seen this but in like a flat hue bar? Like a more normal one, right? From left to right, yeah, you have? Normally you think of color as like a spectrum from left to right, right? If you think of it this way, I encourage you to think of it this way because this is basically mapping color and value and chroma and all these like different variables onto spatial, like a spatial relationship. Does that make sense? Does everybody understand what that means? Like space, so physical space, right? So instead of just a 2D representation like point A to point B and then like all the variables between there, you're thinking of it as like an area, sort of, and you're mapping an area. And the reason I want to bring this up and just kind of take you through how that works is that this can be a conceptualization for color and value, but also for your life and different ideas and like taste and like humor and like inspiration and stuff, right? So if you like Greek philosophy or archaeology or something, and then you also like, my boyfriend likes fishing, like you can do, you can have like this map of like the relationship between fishing and Greek and mythology and I don't know, does that make sense? Is that too weird? I just think these things are so cool. Like imagine again the metaphor I had before with the brain and all these peaks and valleys. Like this is like a landscape, a beautiful landscape. And so you know how you do plein air and you just capture the beautiful landscape? Do that with ideas as well, like the kind of like metaphorical landscape, idea landscape, thought landscape. So who? I'm just going to talk a little bit about myself, not too much, so I don't like doing that too much. So I don't know how much time I've been talking for. Anyway, so standing on the shoulders of giants. You got to stand on the shoulders of giants. Hopefully everybody understands that quote. It basically means that we rely on everybody before us to become who we need to be. So everybody plays a role. Everybody plays a role in everybody else's life. Okay, this is a really, really, really important quote. So, if I have seen further than others, it is by standing upon the shoulders of giants. The reason this quote is so impactful is that it's not self-important. It's very acknowledging of the efforts and the grandiosity of others, what others have done before you. And if you can connect to that deeply and appreciate that, I think you're much more likely to become a person that has great skills, but also no ego. You know, you need ego death. Which is like when you let go of yourself. Me and my parents, we're immigrants to Canada, and my parents, I think they're very smart people, and I really appreciate that. We had a hard childhood because, you know, generational trauma, sometimes people don't treat their kids all that well, but I really appreciate the things I learned. We learned different languages. Because we were in Canada, I had to learn French. I didn't like it at the time, but I grew to appreciate it because now I can speak to French artists who are amazing. So everything comes back around, even though you think, this is a waste of time. I don't like this. Oh, I'm a kid. I want to learn something else. Don't think that, you know, reframe it. And some Romanian, and again, even that, I thought, I don't like my weird roots. They make me different. My culture's weird. My food smells weird, whatever, but it makes you who you are. Embrace it. Find positivity there. Anyways, so also, I just want to talk about the benefits of a multilingual brain. No offense to people who only know one language. I think that you have the potential to learn much more, by the way, so I'm not trying to be mean. But I really think that if you put in even a few minutes a day to learn a different language, your brain, like I said, with the curiosity system and everything like that, will really benefit because learning and neuroplasticity is so important to who you are, who you become, how you think, and everything. The more you introduce different, like, new bridges in your brain, new places for your ideas to go, new connections to make, even linguistically, because our linguistic system is so tied to our thinking system. These things are really essential, and you learn more, and you become a more complex person, I think. And it doesn't take that much effort. So these are things I did when I was a kid. Things that inspired me a lot. Diablo, Shadow of the Colossus, Chrono Trigger. This game, the one in the middle, called Seiken Densetsu 3, was translated by like a small team of fans into English, because only available in Japan. Has that ever happened to you where you're like, oh my god, thanks to those 10 people, I was able to access something that changed my life? Like, People are amazing. It's so cool. Okay, Spyro, Rain Man, Chrono Trigger, etc. Anyway, you know. So, like I said before, kind of map yourself onto my stuff. So I'm not trying to just be like, oh, look at me, but imagine like, oh, your journey and how it affects you, right? So this is a really crappy drawing I made when I was 10, inspired by this lady. She was one of my first inspirations, Michelle Hofener. And honestly, this is so what a kid would do. I Googled my name, and her character's name is Iris. And I went, oh, Iris on Google. What am I going to find? Anything cool? And then I found her art, and it was her OC. And I was like, I want to draw like that. Can you see how I just like really badly did that fan art? But anyways, we all had those moments, right? But eventually, my mom, even seeing that beautiful drawing, was like, I don't know if I should let you be an artist, but she got me this thing, one of the shittiest Wacom ever. It was like 2 inches by 2 inches. Like, come on, even for a print that small. Imagine drawing like that. Your wrist is just doing all the work. No bueno. All right, anyway. And then this is some old stuff. It's so bad. Anyways, let's go quick. One eternity later. I'm doing studies. I'm taking art seriously. I wasn't before. More eternity later. Here we are, doing cool shit. I'm happy. I've worked really hard and it's fun. I'm really excited. Sorry, I keep doing this like. That's fun. Anyways, getting to work on things that mean something to me, that are interesting to me, and it's like, it doesn't happen right away, right? It's like a crazy blessing. I'm really lucky and happy, but it took so much work and so much patience and passion and curiosity. This is the main fuel, I feel like. But yeah, that was cool. I feel so lucky. And this is, was anybody at the community talk that I had? Just a few, thank you guys. So, we talked about constellations and how everybody has like their own constellation of stars that are connected, dots connecting along the way that make you who you are. This is so important. Like, make one for yourself. You'll see, it's really fun. And you'll be like, oh my God, I remember that one thing where like, now I understand why I like video games or something, you know? And this is like a community-inspired constellation where it's like, where did I meet other people who like these things? And so, yeah, if you make one for yourself, can you send it to me? That'd be fun. All right, my origin story. This is a drawing I did of me a while ago, like 10 years ago. All right, anyway. So, on the way to your career, you know, there's a lot of detours. On the way to being who you're supposed to be, there's a lot of detours. Let's just talk about real quick. So school, I went to this school in like Montreal called École Secondaire Félix Leclerc, and I spoke that in not a Quebec accent, but that's where I learned Quebec French. So John Abbott College, honors social science, and then LaSalle College design, fashion design, and then Dawson College, which somebody asked me about earlier. We can talk about that later. We had this group, we called it Quest. I came up with that because I thought it was fun, like Quest, but with a 3. Oh, fun. Okay, and then, yeah, Dawson was in Montreal. It wasn't like a well-known place or anything like that. And it didn't need to be. You don't need to go to the best school. Anyways, I was kind of a nerd in school. I was in like the enriched program called Excellence, which means excellent. And we were, you know, oh, you're the smartest little kid. Whatever. All the kids whose parents told them, study more, finish that assignment now, you know? Okay, so were we more interested in things because we were smarter? Or were we smarter because we were more interested in things? I'm not sure. Sometimes cause and effect are confusing, right? And so I just want to talk about how I used to just walk around in nature as a little kid. That really influenced me, watching, you know, daylight and stuff, and just exploring as a kid, being outside. You know, that's really important. Touch grass. Nature, bugs, curious. I was like, oh, you know when you see like a leaf and there's a lot of little red dots on it, and you're like, oh my God, these are fairy eggs or something. It affects your life, you know? And then some music, some edgy stuff like Green Day, Gorillaz, Queens of the Stone Age. This is my jam. no longer, but gorillas might be the only one that, yeah, anyway. So comedy also, levity, lightheartedness, absurdity, creativity. These things are really important, and who you are ends up being really influenced by what makes you laugh, what makes you sad, and then all these things have like thinking structures to them too. Comedy, for example, for me is so important. If you notice, I like to make jokes and take things not so seriously, or either myself even, and this is really important. I encourage you to do that. It also makes you more clever, I think. And so I wanted to bridge the gap. How do I get to the cool kids? I don't want to be just the kid with the academic skills. I want to also become good at other things and talk to people. And then I studied honor social science, anthropology, Mesopotamian civilization, etc. I'm going to go pretty fast though. And then fashion design was amazing because it's kind of like archaeology, but for not archaeology, architecture, but for clothing. So you know how for clothing you make a blueprint? Well, for fashion design you make a pattern, and then once you make a pattern, physically you do the exercise of making it. You never look at clothing the same ever again. You're looking at every single person, what they're wearing, the t-shirts, the seams, the lines, how big it is, and you're like, oh, I understand how that works. It's so cool. I respect it more, and it's so difficult. And just that acknowledgement of how much thought goes into everything around us is like, whoa, mind-blowing. And so I really encourage you to not take anything for like surface value or for granted. Everything that's around you, somebody made it, somebody designed it. It's fascinating. Everything's fascinating. And so just the act of doing that, it's quite similar, and there's parallels in everything. So I want to encourage you to think like that. So some fashion design stuff from when I was studying. It's okay, it's not the worst, whatever. Anyway, and then at the end of the maybe third or second year, I said, I was in the subway, this specific subway station in Montreal, Lionel Groux, and I was like, Mom, I want to quit this school, I don't like it. And should she let me quit? I don't know. She didn't. She said, finish what you started. And I said, okay, fine, don't hit me. And then this was 3D. It was really fun, great people. However, I think I was one of the only people who really cared about this. Not everybody cares as much. I think have you guys acknowledged that when you go to school? Not everybody gives a shit. You might be the only one who gives a shit. I wasn't, honestly. There was maybe 5 of us out of 30 who or maybe 10, who really, really were prepared to do what it takes. It's really difficult to be an artist. It's really difficult. And then in my cover letter to get in, I wrote, I might want to be a texture artist. Am I a texture artist? No. I respect texture artists, but I'm not one. Anyways, hanging out with people, drawing. Concept art changed my life. This forum. Does anybody know this forum? Only too few. Okay, this place, if you know Wes Burt or a lot of people who were around his time, these incredible artists were there showing us their sketches that they don't show anymore anywhere. We saw them grow, we emulated them, we copied them, and we were like, I want to be like you. How do I do it? And this was my thread, and it was like, everybody had like a first post on their thread, and mine was like, okay, I want to get good. I really want to get good. Okay, here's some resources for everybody else too. And so it was kind of like a place to nerd out about art, right? And we really need that. And so I went from being a casual gamer or casual artist, to gotta shift the gears and step on the gas. Concept art was that catalyst for me. I urge you to think about what that catalyst is for you, because these things are so essential. And then pile on the work, pile on the mileage, the thinking, the going crazy a little bit there. All right, and then I went from, I'm not lazy, I'm waiting for motivation and inspiration to hit me. Should be any time now. That's bullshit, excuse the language. But then, success is the ability to go from failure to failure without losing your enthusiasm. Don't lose your enthusiasm, protect it. And then amateurs sit down and wait for inspiration. The rest of us just get up and go to work. In a way, that's a bit cold. You don't need it to be that cold, but the facts are the facts. And so I made this group, Hangout Hub, and this was everything for me, honestly. Making friends, getting better, watching them, watching me, talking, sharing techniques, everything. We would screen share, we would like just talk about art, talk about lines, talk about light, talk about color, talk about everything. And then Pinterest, right now there's a bunch of AI on there, sad. But maybe there's gonna be similar things, I don't know. Anyway, let's not talk about that. But Pinterest is really important for me because I started to catalog things and organize things. And if you don't have a place where you catalog and organize your inspirations, I urge you to do it. I think it would be great. Even I have a huge inspiration folder on my desktop, super important. I started to take pictures because at Dawson, we had a photography class. Great opportunity to ask my parents to buy me a camera. I said, guys, it's for school, please. They said, okay, if you need it. And I really used the heck out of that camera. I encourage you to use your camera. Do little projects with your friends where you say, hey, my friend, can we like go into the forest and take a picture and I'll edit it and I'll give it to you? You know, just do fun stuff like that. It'll really help you grow. These are studies. First study, bad study, really bad. Andrew from MGMT. So, it's frogs. Okay, you know, do all the studies, do all the things. 3D stuff from school, scary. This film was my student film, and I mixed 2D with 3D. Looks familiar, right? I don't think I'm doing anything all that different. But anyways, I think that's a good thing in a way. I stay true to myself. I know my interests. And so the reason I show this is that it really helped me go, okay, you were supposed to do it fully in 3D because you're a 3D animation school or program at school in a normal college. But then I told them, hey, okay, teachers, please, can I have your trust in me? Can I define my own program, my own process? Can I please mix 2D with 3D? I see this opportunity to do something that I have floating in my mind. And they said, yeah, we trust you because you're a hard worker. I think it'll go well if you're prepared to understand what that entails. Which it means it's a big risk, right? If you have an assignment and you kind of do some sort of freestyle version of it, it's up to you if it messes up, right? But I think I took the risk well. And so the bird, for example, is 3D. I built it, I rigged it, I animated it. And then the other characters are just in Photoshop, like frame by frame animated. And yeah, it was really a great learning experience. These are our posters hanging in the hall. It was awesome. Mine's like over there. It was fun. Everybody did a great job. Then a bunch of studies. Some good, some bad. A lot of learnings along the way were like going from making a bunch of tiny little nervous brushstrokes to like using my arm, making more gestural strokes, more simplicity, more boldness, less fear, less like stiffness, more expression in every stroke. And every stroke is like a statement about what you're painting. It's not about, oh, I'm nervous, is this gonna be a good painting? It will be if you let yourself embody it confidently. So, what and how? Here's the keys to your creativity. I would like to know how much time I have left, by the way. 10 minutes, okay. Let's do it. So, momentary dip into another presentation of mine. I just want to talk real quick about perception. This is a painting I've made. And I want to show you that these are like very direct inspirations that could have inspired it from my inspiration folder. But sometimes it's not so obvious what inspires us, right? Or what we perceive and how it goes into our work. Could have been a movie I saw around the time of the drawing about nomadic desert tribes. Could have been my past degree in fashion design, thinking about fabrics, volume, shape, patterns. Could have been, I think rug and carpets are cool. Could have been, I want to draw characters experiencing joy and family. Could have been, I love sunlight. That one's obvious, but anyway. So also thinking about Color Gamut from James Gurney's Color and Light. That book, I really, really highly recommend you read it. It changed everything for me. It actually inserted colors into my eyes that I was not able to see before. And so anyways, your perception is very influenced by what you do. These are photographs that I was taking around that time. And so you can see all these things feed into each other, right? Pay attention to all these connections in your own life as well. These are all the things I was playing or thinking about or being inspired by. Aladdin, Diablo 2. Desert levels are the best levels. I won't fight about it, it's just facts. And then that student film, this kind of thing, light, you know. Again, direct inspirations, photos I was taking, games I played. It all ties in, right? etc., etc. All right, let's go quick through these because they're not so different from one another. Here are some paths to heighten or train perception. You can take a photo of this, if you want to do that. So it's like, I really recommend you do vision boards. Does everybody know about Miro? Can you raise your hands if you know Miro? M-I-R-O, okay. Miro is a website where you can do really, really easy and fun vision boards and sharing with people. You can like share the link and they can see it. I really recommend you just kind of map out your life because you can brainwash yourself into your own success and inspiration and curiosity. Don't let the algorithm brainwash you out of your own passion and life and interests. Brainwash it back into you. So Miro. And then if you want to take a picture, this one's more complicated, and if you want to ask me for it, I've been wanting to make YouTube videos about all this, but I can just send it to you later or something. Just contact me. All right, and this is about asking yourself these questions. Am I a confident person? Do I share what I want to share with my work? Am I holding back in some kind of a way? What's my comfort level with different aspects of my art? What do I feel like I want people to think of me or think of my work? All kinds of questions, like please just ask yourself questions. If you only do art kind of reflexively and like from the gut, I used to do that too, but the moment I started asking myself more questions, everything just like, it was like a beautiful explosion of potential, and I want that to happen for you. So, be the architect of your life. You can change everything that you want to change. I promise you just have to try. And then, I want you to examine your motivations. What about that goal inspires you? What about your motivations inspires you? What does it motivate you? I want you to journal, examine your life. Truth. Where is it? Where is it? What is it? What's your life? What are your actions saying about your life and where it's going and what has been or anything like that? Examine. Meditate. You need a mindful perspective on your life. So let's go through a little visualization tool here. I got this from a neuroscientist I really respect. I don't agree with everything he says, but I think it was Sam Harris, potentially. But anyway, so he said this thing that I think he got from somebody else, maybe. Anyway, it's like you are this person receiving a waterfall on top of your head. The waterfall is your thoughts, your ideas, your emotions, everything that happens to you. You are this receptor of all these things, right? They're happening to you right now. Like you're listening to my words right now. And you have these people around you, all that stuff's happening. Then, there is also you, outside of you, watching this happen, right? Observing, oh hey, from a third person perspective, look at me, look at my thoughts coming in, right? It's kind of cool. It can be painful to do that for some people. Some people can have too much pain and trauma to even imagine that because it's like, oh my God, I can't connect to that idea. So it can take a lot of work, but I suggest trying to approach that. I encourage you to get there. And then there's also the you thinking about the you watching the you, right? Is that awesome or what? I feel like there's a lot of yous. And just consider all of them and think about how they interact with each other. What does that mean? Does the guy on the right hate me? Or does he love me? I don't know. And how have my actions created that relationship? Like, is my inner self a critic of me? And why? Why would he be? Or she, or whatever. I encourage you to look into associative thinking. Everything is connected, like I said. Everything is like some sort of a peak or valley or something affecting your brain. And remember that whole color spectrum thing. It's like everything is associated. And think this way. Train yourself to think this way. Because this is basically all of art. Like when you have an idea, it goes there, it goes there. Oh, the rocks, the trees, the colors, you know? And so the more you think about this and the more you're aware of this, back to the other example, the more you watch yourself with the little magnifying glass, being aware of this system, the more, the better results you'll have. Okay, and then we're gonna take in knowledge and experiences relating to different centers, modes, or topics of thinking. So I encourage you, do not put like horse blinders on and go, oh, I'm gonna be an amazing artist if I just draw every single day, if I go figure drawing. Okay, you could, some people do, but I think learn many, many, many different things. Life is so fascinating, and it could be, you could find a new angle that makes you like the best version of yourself. It could be a totally unexpected source, right? there's so many things you could learn from. And I also encourage you to learn communication or theater. It's very, very, very helpful. When I was in high school, we were in that class, right, where it was like just the smart kids, and I would always, they would have us vote, like, is the whole class getting theater next year, or is the whole class getting art next year? I was the one freaking person voting for art, or like me and one other girl, and we never got it, or maybe once in 5 years, and I was upset. I was really upset. I was like, give us art. I want art. I just want to draw. I don't want to go to theater. But then I thought, wait a minute. I was just sitting one day. We were practicing like scripts for a little play. And I thought, oh my God, we're learning presence and communication. And when I read this script and I'm with my friends acting this stuff out, like D&D or something, I'm understanding that I can have an effect on a story that we're creating or something, you know, like all these concepts that end up really enriching your life. And they're so important to be aware of all these things. So become fascinated with theater and performance and all of these things. I want you to be aware also of gesture, animation, body language, weight, posture. All these things are so important, like just the physicality of like a movement, or how the hands move in arcs, you know, like if you follow my hand, there's like everybody who knows animation principles just knows these things, you know, and they're so important. Also study film, cinematography, staging, storyboarding, photography. You can be a director of photography in your brain, in Blender, in whatever, you know, and I think it's so important. Like if you can see the bad staging and the good staging, how many of us are doing this with our drawings every time? There's so much there. I wish you could talk for weeks about this, not only an hour, but anyway. Collect references of all kinds, literally all kinds. There's no way to go wrong. In the past, in the future, in whatever, an idea somebody had, a real object somebody made, a boat somebody built, like whatever you want. Categorize, observe, gather inspiration. Also go to the library. My mom used to take me to the library when I was a kid, and I feel like that just made me who I am. Have a personal library, and then you can even journal about what you feel about the library. You can combine all these things, right? So reference history, museums, old ideas are also very, 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 very valuable, especially if they're still around, right? Think of how temporary things are. If an idea is still around, it's valuable. Think about it. And so this is a chair, right? Boring. These are also chairs. More specific. This one's fine. I don't want to hurt its feelings, but those are really cool, right? Those are cool in all kinds of different ways. Get inspired. And go to the museum with your friends and talk about what you see. Okay, reference your real life. This is Azusa. Does anybody know Azusa? She's here. She's like in the Azusa Tojo. She's an incredible artist. So I took these from her page because she's such a good reference of somebody who like does little sketches in real life or references a memory of hers from her life. This is her and her sister on the bus. And it's just so, how charming is that? Like she created this image from her past, and now it's casting like this joy spell or nostalgia spell on you. It's magic. She's a wizard. And I urge you also to combine references and ideas. Never just one thing, unless you are really into that one thing and you're like, oh, how deep can I go on that one thing? But you can combine things like that character's hair is water, her clothing is kind of leathery, it's got this like texture. This is like a anemone crab, nudibranch, and crabs and seahorse. These are pretty basic examples. I would say that like I never go deep enough. Actually doing this made me think, oh, I should go even deeper, even more complex. So who knows, maybe I'll make super interesting stuff after this, or not. Have fun anyways, you know, just be playful with it. I think practice creating things from imagination. This one's a bit wordy, sorry, but if you practice creating things from imagination, it's even more important if you're not comfortable with it, by the way. If you're not comfortable with the idea of creating things from imagination, you have to do it, please. You don't get to not do it. So every single attempt 1, attempt 2, attempt 500, will all contribute to your ability to comfortably do this. And you need to be comfortable with it. Remember the waterfall of ideas? if you're doing the thing and you're experiencing the pain of the discomfort, like I'm drawing and my waterfall is like, you're shit, you're bad at this, this is so stupid. That's a terrible waterfall. Be the person who's watching you from the outside and go, be kinder, please. Be more open-minded. Let it happen, embrace the process. Fail is good. So, edit how that happens, right? Change it. You'll gain essential trust in your mind's eye. Those things are really important. You have to become confident through the act of doing it. You don't gain confidence out of nowhere. It's not something you can think yourself into. You have to do it. It's an action, a muscle. And your judgment and your ability to call it forth, right? You call forth this thing. It doesn't come from just wanting it to happen. You have to create it. Anyway, perceive and observe thoughtfully and in great detail. Be very, very observant. Always be looking around, thinking. Don't avoid your own thoughts and your own feelings. Embrace them, observe them. Also, automatic drawing is really important. There's some videos about this. It's kind of like ugly drawing or aimless drawing or scribbling. It's a very cool act and exercise. You can find shapes because the brain is like a pattern-seeking machine, right? You can scribble and then you can go, oh, I like that. What am I seeing there? Why do I like it? And I think also you can switch up the way you handle tools, the way you hold your pencil. Maybe it's too tight. Maybe you can hold the end of it in front instead of the beginning of it. You can do all kinds of like physically different things, and also even just, oh, I should move my arm more from my shoulder instead of from my wrist. All kinds of different like physicality things, right? You can also introduce new tools and techniques. I like VR, Blender, Unreal, Rebel, Clip Studio, whatever. Do it all. Don't be afraid of anything. Embrace it. Don't go like, oh, but I know the menus in this one. Come on, is that really you're gonna limit? You're not you're limitless. Come on. Okay, so ponder the similarities and differences between things. So Marshall Vandriff, who's also, I saw him walking around, he's a great teacher. He's got this great course on comparative anatomy. And comparative anatomy, the thing that's so amazing about that is that you can understand the fact that like, oh, my muscles are like this and my bones are like this. And I'm kind of like a cat in a way, because a cat's leg is similar. It's just like divided differently, right? Or the cat is like you, or whatever, vice versa, right? It's very interesting. And this is like, do things with the same subject or but a different medium. Something that you like to draw, something you're comfortable drawing, make it in 3D, or the other way around. Talk about your art with your friends. This is underestimated. You can unlock new things. You can have breakthroughs. Just talking about it. And be vulnerable, okay? Like, I'm being vulnerable. Some of the stuff I said was weird or stupid, but we can help each other by going through these moments together. Be brave. Welcome and seek feedback. It's not a threat. If somebody says, hey, that shape is like kind of weird, maybe we can do better. It's not a threat, Some people maybe kind of try to hear out, is this a threat? Is this person my enemy? Because some people are, but don't overjudge that. Like, don't overestimate who is threatening you. That's a tricky one, though. But anyway, so embrace honest self-feedback. Honest self-feedback was the best tool for me because I would look at my work all the time, just the whole collection of my work, and I'd say, what do I feel about my work? Is this who I want to be? I'm putting myself out there, and this is what I look like as an artist. Am I happy? Am I satisfied? Or am I not? I'm reaching the end now. And then I want you to create something different or out of reach, like Metallica, me? What? Am I like a metal cover artist? No. But it went really well. It was an amazing match, Yeah, and then I'm drawing like a mech here. But I could do more of this, by the way. I should. Take interest in other fields. Learn screenwriting, learn programming, learn rigging. Think about masonry, mechanics. You have hobbies. Don't deny yourself those things. Focus on your canvas. You should turn off music and audio and videos. Not always, but I encourage you to do this if you're uncomfortable with it. The reason I focus on this is that Sparth, Nicolas Bouvier, incredible illustrator and concept artist, in a tutorial I got once, he said, a lot of the time I don't listen to anything. And I was like, what? I need my music. And I thought, is it silly or what? But that idea of sitting in silence never even occurred to me. And I thought, how could that have not even entered my mind? And then I tried it, and it really, really connected me to what I make. I think it's amazing. And then learn other languages, like I said. I'll skip that one because I talked about it. Also, let's go back for 1 second. Oops, no. Spoilers. Sorry. Okay, when you learn another language, the first words you learn are like bathroom, please, hello, food, right? Basics. Think of these the same way as you think of like, you know when you're learning to draw and you go, how can I draw an eye? And it's just an eye as a symbol, right? Like a flat symbol. And then when you know, I don't know, how to sculpt or something, you're like, oh, an eye is not just 2 lines in a circle. It's like much more than that. It's like the skull underneath the eye, right? All these things. Art is like a language, and you're using it as a communication tool. And all these things gain complexity, right? So art is a language as well. And I really am reaching the end here. Okay, so daydreaming, hypnagogia, hypnopompia, dream diary, all these things. Explore dreaming and sort of like when you're waking up or when you're going to sleep, sometimes things happen with your mind and you feel like you're hallucinating ever so slightly. You're like on the edge of a dream. Sometimes you can use those places to explore. I've had moments where I've visualized a piece of artwork and I've thought, oh, maybe if I like do it like that. And then I actually saw it underneath my eyes, you know. I was there. Pareidolia, acknowledging this pattern that we have where we see things in random shapes. Like, how amazing is that? It's magic. It's so fun. And it doesn't have to just be like weird little doodles. Like, you can see something and then go, I want to make my next masterpiece with that scribble on the ground. And then I think you should perpetuate and positive, proactive momentum and cycles. Everything in life is about like energy and like what are you already doing? How can you start a new cycle or end a bad cycle that's old? And momentum. If you start a habit and it's easy to continue, you'll keep doing it. If you start a habit and it's too difficult to continue, you will stop. And it's not good to stop good habits. Come on, let's be good to ourselves. 5-second rule is really important. Activation energy is a huge hurdle. Have you ever had this thing where you're like, oh my God, I had just a really good idea? Nah. That kills you. That will make you into the person who doesn't have good ideas. You have good ideas right now, all day. 100 times a day, I promise you. You're just not using them. Maybe you are, but I don't want to offend you. You might be, but if you feel like you're not a person who has good ideas, it might be because you're just not acting on them. So please act on them, like immediately. Write it down, draw a little sketch, do something, and then commit to following through, because follow through is so important. And then I encourage you to physically train or get more ease, do yoga, stretch, something like that. Your body is so important. It's participating in your artistry. I promise you, it's really important. And then practice interoception. How do I feel? Am I taking care of myself? What are my needs, etc.? Really, really important to be aware of everything about like your insides and how that relates to what you've done on the outside. And then relieve your working memory. This is like kind of the last point, is that write things down, create lists. Your efforts and your energy should be well managed. Okay, so when you feel like you're very distracted by everything in your life, it's probably because you're not like organizing your thoughts or relieving your mind. Your active mind should be something that you treat well. You're like, oh, would it do me a favor if I made a list right now instead of just holding it in my mind? Because your mind does these loops like, okay, tomatoes, milk, draw. Tomatoes, milk, draw. Tomatoes, milk, draw. That was a stupid example, but that happens all the time. So do yourself some favors. And then please uncover your potential. Okay, it's so important. I really want you to. You have such a beautiful potential, no matter who you are, and don't let it die. Please, that's the biggest tragedy ever. So many human beings reach the end of their life and they don't discover their potential. So make this happen, please. It's up to you. Your life is in your hands. Thanks.